Hi, welcome to Moment of Silence. I'm Naina Bhan.
I'm Sakshi Shivdasani.
And on this episode, we spoke about Indian parents being daughters to Indian parents and all the shenanigans. We talked about going out when we were young, talked about how much of a nuisance we were.
And just how we realized that our parents were just trying their best. So let's dive into it. Yesterday, we posted something on the Moment of Silence Instagram, and there were a lot of comments. One particularly stuck out for me, and it said that my Sakshi Shivdasani's feet are on Wiki feet. And I obviously have to look myself up,
Of
right?
course.
There's 33,000 votes on the quality of my feet, and I got a 4 on 5, which is like nice, right? Like my fucking feet have a 4 on 5 rating. But here's the kicker, I have a literal size 10 foot, which is very similar to my dad's foot. Like, I don't have good looking feet. So, every time some creep is jacking off to my feet, you are actually jacking off to my 60-year-old father's man feet. So, sit with that. Think about that.
So I have to say that 4 on 5 for like a photoshopped, manicured foot pic.
Yeah.
That's really hot.
Right. And I wasn't even posing.
Damn. There's space for everyone on the internet.
I'm going to start taking photos of my dad's feet when he's sleeping and passing them off as my own. That's my side hustle now.
Speaking of your dad's feet,
Hot.
what was it like growing up with your parents?
So, apart from the nose and the feet that my dad gave me, he's a pretty chill guy. But I do think that if your parents give you like a feature that is directly theirs, like, you look at someone and they're like, oh, she looks like her father, they have to start saving up for your nose job from their birth. Like, I have decided, I feel like this should be in law books, and my
Yeah.
dad's a lawyer, so I'm gonna make it happen. He needs to pay for this Sindhi nose to move away from my face. Speaking of dads,
Yeah. Unhinged already. Yeah.
how is it growing up with your father, Naina? Your parents?
My parents are it was so long ago that I'm kind of blanking on the memory. But my parents were interesting. Like, they both have definitely strong personalities, and I think I've gained a heady mix of both personalities. My dad was definitely like the good cop, and my mom was definitely the bad cop.
My parents had this really fun game they would play every time I was like, yo, can I go out with my friends? I would ask my mom, and she'd be like, let's wait till the night when your dad comes back. And then I would ask my dad, and he'd be like, oh, why did you wait till the night? Just ask your mom. And then you'd go back and forth. And by then, your friends had gone out already, and you were stuck at home because my parents would just never give you an answer. They'd be like, I'm fine with it, but ask your mom. I'm fine with it, but ask your dad. And no one was fine with it, and they were in like cahoots. Like, they were a big team, and me and my sister were a small team, so we always lost because the odds were stacked against us. But they particularly didn't allow me to like go out without parental supervision till I was in the 8th grade, I think. I remember before every exam, like, the last day of exam, everyone goes out, like, at least in my school, that was the thing. And, like, I would always study for my last paper way back because I knew I had to, like, spend that entire evening before the last paper just convincing them to let me go out. So that was one of my shaping experiences, which is why I'm now proficient enough to start a podcast, because I was so good at like putting points.
Well in time to riff off the next day. Dude, my parents, so strangely, when I was growing up, I mean, it was a little more not the norm back in my day. All of my close friends came from like divorced parents. I think I was the only kid that had like didn't come from
Ooh.
divorced parents. So for me, the normal was that my parents should be divorced. I'm like, I don't understand this relationship. When my friends are describing it, they're like, yeah, our parents were really arguing, this, that, and the other. I'm like, my parents argue. Why aren't they getting divorced? Like,
What's
what's
going
going on?
on?
So I just couldn't understand it. And also, what comes with like being, I don't know, coming from like, I guess, divorced parents is that both parents want to overcompensate for, this big tumultuous
Whole,
thing that's
yeah.
happened. So they are typically better with gifting, permissions, and things like that. And my parents were like, no. And I know my friends always like to like go out, like go to the mall, go like loafing around wherever. And I was,
Loafing.
yeah, that's what it was called. And I was not allowed to go. Like it was just a hell no. So I used to go to Bharatnatyam class. And once in 2 weeks, I was allowed to do like a friendly, like lame activity, but it was like looked down upon. And sleepovers were a absolutely fucking not,
Yeah.
which was insane because I loved having like girl sleepovers, and I had to really convince my parents to make that happen.
And it just never happened.
Very, very rarely. And then I was so acclimatized to my own parents' house, right? Where I had to wake up at like 7:38 in the morning. That then I'm that friend at the sleepover that's like 7:30 awake in the morning, making conversation with my friend's mom while she's asleep till like 12 o'clock. I've chatted with the Didi, we've made breakfast, I've played with her dog, and then she wakes up. I'm like, okay, I'm going now.
It's time to bounce.
Yeah.
My parents were also not very chill about sleepovers. I remember I would be like, okay, all these girls are going for a sleepover and I'll go hang out with them and I'll come away at like 9 p.m. And at 9 p.m., like all the girls would take turns calling my parents and being like, Auntie, please, let her stay, let her stay. And my mom she used to not like this. She used to be like, stop it. Like, I don't want to talk to someone else's child. I don't even want to talk to my own child about this. So stop putting me in this position. And I would always like give up, and then she would come pick me up or like,
Dude, do that. I'm like, okay, like a 14-year-old kid who thinks they have like riz, like parent riz. They're like, yeah, let me talk to your
Yeah.
parents. I can totally smooth talk you into sleepover. And I know that the minute I hand the phone to this person, it's not going to go down well. I'm going to go home and get like slammed because it's like, come on, yeah, auntie, let her go,
just
yeah.
one night,
Just one night,
auntie.
pretty please, pretty please. It's like, I don't want to punch this kid in
Yeah.
the face.
And my mom, like, literally, she used to be like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what is this child going to tell me that, like, you are not able to tell me? That I'll be like, oh, yeah, babe, for sure, she should stay over. Yeah,
Yeah.
queen slay. Like, it's not going to happen. And then I used to go home and I used to be like, everyone's parents allow, you guys never allow. And I have this way, like, when a kid is complaining, they go in the same, like, you never. So my parents would, and I remember this so clearly, they would look at each other and be like, oh, you never do this. And I used to be like, bro.
So good. I love it.
Yeah, they were like trolling me and my sister. They used to just like, as soon as we would start some argument, they would like predict it. They'd be like, cool.
But that's the difference between siblings. Like, I was a sibling that if I asked for permission, they said no, my mood would be so down that I'd be like, fuck it, I don't want the permission. I want my permission in like good vibes. I don't want this like fighting to the death.
No.
And my sister could like argue till the fucking dogs went home. And then when the entire house is in turmoil, she'd be like, cool. Dad, can you drop me? And everyone's just angry, dropping my sister to the party.
I was that person. Like, my sister would also be like, okay, fine, like, whatever, I'll call my friends home. I would fucking fight. And I would, like, just keep asking. I would wear them down. Like, and my dad would be so upset. And I used to be like, okay, Tanisha's driver's gonna pick me up now. And they'd be like, what the fuck? Who gave you permission? And I'm like, but her driver has come now. And then I used to be like, yeah, I used to leave. And then when I came back, what are they gonna do?
Dude, pour one out for younger siblings. Like, they have paved I have learned so much from my own sister about rebellion
Yeah.
than like I could have ever learned from anywhere. Like, she has taught me how to grow a pair constantly in life.
You're the older
Yeah.
sibling, right?
Yeah.
My sister and I are like 1 year apart. So there was no actual older and younger, but like I would see her struggle for something 6 months later. I would like make notes about what she did wrong. And then I would like go and do everything right. And then she would just be like, why did she get permission? Like, I got a Facebook account before my sister got it because I just made one. And she didn't make one. And because she was like begging my parents for permission. And I was like, I didn't know this is something we
I
have
think
to
that's the
ask.
thing, right? Like a older sibling wants everything justified. Like their experiences should be validated. Like if the parents said no, that it just doesn't sit right. But a younger sibling is like, yes, and
Yeah.
you have a fucking problem with me.
What about
What
it?
about it? Yeah.
Go cry to mommy
And
about
buy
it.
me an iPhone 15 Pro Max while you're at it.
That's so funny because I also got a cell phone before my
Dude,
sister.
my sister always got the better cell phone, the better laptop, the better everything. Like the better,
Yeah.
she was hooked up.
But props to like older siblings because I really like she would just see me do all of this and she used to be like, it's fine, you know, someone has to get it. It's I'd rather you get it than none of us get it. And I would just not
Good for her
share.
and her
Yeah.
healthy experience. I was just like confused the entire time. Now, I've been like totally like the only lesson I've imbibed from this is that I have to make my own money. Only I can buy my own happiness. And now my parents are like, what can we gift you? What can we get you? I'm like, nothing. There's not one thing I want.
Back in 2013 when I wanted a fucking Game Boy.
Yeah, that muscle memory is just gone. But my dad was like such a good gifter.
Yeah?
In that he would just get in abundance.
Yeah.
Like in the early 2000s, my dad had a job abroad. He was earning in
Mm.
good old USD. And, he was like out 3 months and back for 3 months.
Yeah.
And he would come home with this suitcase of Barbies.
Ooh.
Just a suitcase of Barbies. And I was a destructive kid. So I got them all married, cut all their hair, and burnt all their clothes.
Took off their
Yeah,
head.
that was it. It was always really disturbing.
Dude, my dad's sister and my dad had like a competition going, which we just found out about. It's like they would always gift like their kids, like my bua would gift us, and my dad would gift my cousins the noisiest gifts. Like because my dad would get so annoyed, she would gift us one of those fake computers where you press and it's like BALLOON balloon, and I would just keep fucking pressing it all day. And my dad like used to fucking get wired. He used to be like, this bitch, like his sister has bought her such a loud gift, how could she do this? And then like we would get drum sets.
Ouch. The Shivdasanis are mad prankers.
Yeah,
I
we're just like on, and I'm gonna do that to my brother's kids if he ever has kids, and my sister's kids.
Sushi's doing it to you anyway with his math.
That's true. The squeaky toy.
Now I feel like, looking back, I'm like, my parents raising me in Delhi, always trying to give me and my sister like a better existence than, they were given when they were younger, putting us in schools where we were out of depth, like in our social circles, like monetarily,
Yeah.
was so tricky because how do you make sure that your kid turns out normal?
Yeah.
Like I was talking to a friend of mine who has a 3-year-old kid, and that kid is in one of those fancy Mumbai schools. She's like, how do I help her make distinctions? Because her friend comes with her nanny in a Lambo to school. A 3-year-old kid comes with a Lambo.
Love it.
Like
Goals.
yeah, so when you're sending your kid to like, an affluent child's birthday and they come back with a like iPhone, you're like, what are you supposed to tell your kid? And how will your kid understand the distinction between the two?
Like, you know how like everyone has within their means the gift and all of that, right? So I remember in school we had these chocolate like distribution on your birthday, and you get to wear like your party clothes on your birthday and everything. And one time my dad also, like, he comes from again like humble beginnings, and then he has worked his way up, and that's why I have the title of a privileged sobo kid on the internet. But I remember I wanted to gift everyone Bounty. I know it's a hated chocolate, but like I just thought I was so sophisticated for the coconut and
Yeah, I was going to say
chocolate
that's
thing.
expensive.
Yeah. And I was like, please, Papa, you have to get Bounty. And he was like, yeah, yeah, I got you. And he went to Crawford Market and he got like a bag full of Founty, which is the same thing as Bounty, but not brand name. And he came home so excited about the deal he had gotten, and I cried. I was like, how could you do this? They're gonna bully me for this. Because I was also like,
You're still crying.
it's trauma. And my dad was like, these kids are so spoiled to my mom. And my mom was like, no, no, you know, the social pressures and like a school for a fifth grader.
I'm sorry, vibes. She's literally crying. I don't know what to say.
I'm not, I'm not crying because of the Founty.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I'm crying because I'm laughing so hard at
Okay.
how ridiculous this is. But I remember like that was like my core memory, and I was like, my dad will never get it.
Dude, but kids are mean. I know how mean I've been to my parents in
Yeah.
moments where I'm like, how can you not understand that I need Nike sneakers to wear to school because Gola isn't cutting it and all the kids will make fun of me?
What's Gola?
Exactly. You South Bombay shit girl.
Dude, okay, my mom was really good about taking me to these like outlet stores. So I have like you know an Adidas backpack and those fucking Nike squeezy bottles that today I wouldn't even fucking touch, but because it looked cool and my mom didn't want them because you couldn't clean them nicely. But I was like, I gotta have it. So she took me to an outlet mall and she got all the like backpacks and all, and I went to school dripped out. And here's why I know that this was important and why my mom did it. This one fucking asshole child, when I was like out of the class during my snack break, he emptied my bag to see the Adidas logo inside to like mock me if it was fake, but it like wasn't. And yeah, that's how fucking mean kids are. And then I told my mom about this and she was like, but even if it was fake, you should have just rolled with it because this kid's clearly a fucking asshole. But a 10-year-old Sakshi was not gonna roll with it, right? So like that's why I didn't want to carry the fucking Founty to school. Get bullied on my birthday because my parents put a lot of like emphasis on education, which also meant like they were like putting me in a very good school where everyone was richer than me. So I was always like very wary of how I would come across.
Bechare, they wanted to emphasize education. Same in my house, but I picked up all the wrong habits from being in a school
Same.
like that.
Like, I need an iPhone. You don't understand. Nobody has Android anymore. And my dad was like, bitch, when I was your age.
Yeah. Speaking of bigde hue schools and growing up in cities, what had happened when you became a teenager with like alcohol, cigarettes, partying,
Ooh.
etc., etc.?
So, okay, my grandfather apparently was a very chill guy. Okay, I didn't meet him because he,
Yes, and respectfully.
my dad was like a big like asshole as a teenager. He would like get into fights, he would be drinking, he would be smoking. And so when my teenage years started, I was exactly like him, drinking and smoking and getting into fights. And he was like, you don't understand. You can't do this. Like, you don't understand the toll it takes on a father. But all his like siblings would be like, oh, so now do you understand the toll it took on your father? And my dad would just sit there sad, like, yeah, that's true. It's a generational thing. So I got away pretty under the radar because my dad was just pissed with himself. So he was like too self absorbed to kind of like care about what time I came back. So I was like, 4
Chilling.
a.m., what up? Good morning.
So my mom came from a convent experience.
Ooh.
They went to an all girls college and then went for her masters, which was the first time that she was in a co-ed environment. And my father grew up in Srinagar. What if he was balling in Srinagar? I don't know, because to this day everyone maintains that they were just ace individuals, right?
Love it.
So, and I was the lame kid that wanted to be cool, and I was like, I'll experiment with like cigarettes and alcohol and
Ooh.
stuff, because I don't think anybody's like excited about like kids in the city, climbing trees and
No.
going for picnics. They're like, if you are cool, you need to show up to this club, make the bouncer let you in, and then like dance on a table
Yeah.
at 16.
Yes.
Sadly, that was my experience, and that's what I strive for. And it was like, I think it was a shock for my parents.
Yeah.
I remember this one time we had all gone for this birthday party, and everyone at the party was like drinking and smoking. And this one kid in my school, he got caught the next day because he brought a bottle of vodka and he was drinking in the bathroom. Okay. And then when the teacher went to like caught him and went to like suspend
Yeah.
him, as a effort to save her son, his mother said, oh, but all of the kids are doing it. They were at a party just yesterday when everyone in the room was like smoking or drinking, and she gave a roll call of like every
Oh
kid
my
there.
God.
So I remember coming home in the evening after playing pittu, and my mom's like, come here. And they didn't want my sister to know, so they brought me into the bedroom and they locked the chitkani. And they're like, what were you doing at this party? You were smoking. And my mom's crying. And my dad, who's a chain smoker at that point, I know kaun se muh se kya bolenge. They're like, what is this? What have we taught you? This is the company you're
Your
hanging
dad
out with.
lights a cigarette.
Let me tell you how injurious it is for your...
Disgusting.
And this entire time I'm crying as the older sibling. I've like disappointed my parents, and
Yeah.
I didn't even like the cigarette.
You
But
gotta
this-
get used to it.
You
You gotta
gotta.
do a lot of it.
I think the first cigarette that I ever... I don't know why I keep doing this. The first cigarette I ever smoked was that Godangaram with the elaichi flavor, because we didn't want it to smell like cigarettes.
Bro, that fucking shit stays on your body for 40 years.
I know.
I had one once at a party and I still smell of it.
Shut up. But that's what I was really confused. I'm like, okay, what should you do as parents? Because if you're strict, your kid's gonna go batshit 9 times out
Yeah.
of 10. But if you're super freewheeling, your kid's going to go to rehab times out of 10. So what do you do? Like, how do you
You
pick a
just
lane?
fucking pretend like it never happened. Like, I have like this, my brother is almost 36, 37, and he smokes. And we all know he smokes. But he'll still respectfully walk ahead of us if we're all walking in a city, turn a corner, fucking smoke, and it's respect. Look it up. No, but I'd rather get yelled at for it in like a, we're not gonna kick you out of the house, but you know that we will threaten you with kicking you out of the house if you don't change your ways, than have like a mom or dad that are like, oh, let's smoke our first cigarette together. Like, do you have those friends whose parents are just like very chill?
Yeah.
I feel like a 13-year-old doesn't need to smoke with their
No,
parents.
they don't.
I just hate it. Like, I don't want to hang out with anyone's mom when I'm 13 and be like, oh, she's not a regular mom, she's a cool mom. Like, I liked my mom's approach where she was like, do whatever you want. You smell like elaichi when you come home, not. We used to crush like Lay's in our hands.
Lay's?
Lay's, because Lay's has such a fucking strong smell. I'm sorry, my parents, but we used to just like be like, maybe she just think I eat a lot of junk.
Listen, we are sharing this information for the purpose of research and science, because as adults now, none of us have
Yeah.
addictions and addictive
No.
personalities.
It was just like a cool thing to try, right? Everyone's tried it once, and like, I've been thinking about that a lot in the last month, because like the reel about that vada pav where I said I don't like vada pav went
Yeah.
viral, and it reached my dad. My dad is the kind of guy that knows from Andheri to Churchgate, any vada pav thela, he knows where it is and how good the vada pav is. And he like was like, it's so strange to me that like I'm this working man, like like hard worker, and my daughter's just like a bitch, right?
The correlation. Fair
So I've
enough.
been thinking about how like the people hating on us are gonna get their revenge in terms of a daughter that's as spoiled as us.
I to take it damn personally.
Yeah.
I'm if I'm spoiled, if I'm spoiled,
If. Big if.
then I have the receipts to prove that I worked for it.
Fair. Yeah.
My parents, like, okay, fine, you can talk about, let's talk about privilege, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend like, I'm some like self-made, self-whatever, nor
Yeah.
am I like somebody who was born with a silver spoon in their mouth.
Fair.
My parents are very normal, like working class people. And the one thing that I did get, which is a privilege, which I'll take any day over the money, is that my parents raised us very progressively.
Yeah.
And I will take that. Like, I will take the fact that, especially as girl parents, they are willing to take the journey with me. There's no ego in that we know better than you, especially now. It's like, okay, let's learn together. Let's see what's happening in the world together. Because you're growing up as, like, if you're raising a daughter, you're not only preparing her for her own life, but preparing her for the men she's going to encounter,
Yeah.
and all the like rooms and places where she will be the odd one out, or she
Yeah.
might be double scared to raise her hand in a boardroom because someone's going to perceive that she's a stupid
Yeah. Bimbo.
bimbo.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, I can always have these conversations with them, and I've had those growing up. And what is like my parents screaming at me for not for drinking alcohol too young, like
Yeah. For sure. I mean, they should
in the
scream at you.
yeah, they
for-
should.
Yeah.
That's like terrible
That's
behavior.
parenting 101.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I would agree that, like, I did have, like, there was a time when I was like 16, 15, where I thought, like, oh, my parents are like the worst. I was like in my angsty teen phase. But at the end of the day, like, I'm an independent woman. I've never been told you can't do this because you're a girl, or, like, none of that. Like, I was treated the same way like my cousins who are guys are treated, maybe even better, because
Yeah.
like I was a girl. So like all of that is like really fun, like just like having parents that you can kind of raise with you, like they'll adapt to the situation, where like if I'm like, oh, I want to go on a trip with like girls and guys, which to my parents back in their day was not unheard of. Like it was like you get married and you go with your husband, like, and that's what my mom did. Like my mom's first trip with a dude that's not her brother was my dad, right? So for them to like kind of allow me to go to Goa when I was 18, of course I fucking fought to go
Dude,
there.
I wouldn't allow my kid.
You wouldn't?
I wouldn't. I know what bakwas they're going to be up to. I'm not letting that kid get like.
I was up to bakwas.
Yeah,
I can
exactly. So was
confirm.
I. Yeah.
No, so yeah, like just coming from, and I'm pretty sure like we didn't even have the internet back then. So whatever raising has been done by like me pushing their boundaries, them being receptive to the pushing of boundaries, and then me getting drunk in Goa, coming back with one friend, going to the ICU straight after, and they were like, we knew this would happen. And I was like, yeah, good call from y'all, but I'm not gonna listen. I ain't built.
I still remember I was very touched because when I wanted to move out of the house, just me, like a whiny 25-year-old, being like, I need to live on my own and I need to discover who I am, etc., etc. And my parents just being like, live under this roof, who cares? Like, you can still
Save rent.
explore. Yeah, chill. After fighting with them a bunch, my mom and my dad stepped away, and my mom came back into the room to have the conversation. She's like, you know what? Actually, I remember when I was younger, and my friends and I, we'd made a plan that if we didn't get married, we would get an apartment together and we would explore like
Yeah.
what that was like. And none of us got that opportunity. So I want you to have that opportunity.
Yeah. I feel like that's how it should be, right? Like you don't deny people opportunities because you didn't get them. Like otherwise it just becomes like a toxic like cycle of like we are all unhappy. But I think my parents did a good job with that. But I also think that I did a good job with pushing them not to suck my own dick, but to suck my own dick for a second. I genuinely believe that a lot of strict parents are just like, they haven't had their authority questioned. Like, I feel like if you just go like, but like, a lot of kids don't argue, and I think arguing is my strongest suit.
I think, okay, to that, I'll say like when you argue or when you're curious as a child, it's crucial for your parent to have a response
Yeah.
to why that authority is. Somewhere in my parenting, I feel like that's where the loop sometimes didn't close when I was younger. When I ask you, why can't I do this?
Just.
Give me, yeah, just can't be the reason.
Yeah.
Like I obviously maybe I wouldn't have understood, but try me.
Yeah.
Let's see
at
where it
least-
could have gone. Let's roll the dice together. You know what I mean? And that there, like so many times in Indian households, if a kid like asks or questions, they just like beaten
Yeah.
down or whipped down further,
Yeah.
metaphorically. That kills their confidence entirely.
Yeah.
So I was watching this reel where they were talking about how you can't be a presence in your kid's life. Like you need to be able to have, again, come from a space of like no ego, where you have to be there so that the kid can lean on you, but you cannot be there that so that your voice is like ringing in their heads when they're trying to do
Yeah.
anything for themselves.
Like, would you call your parents, like as a teenager, would you like, if you were in trouble, would you call your
No.
parents? Yeah, me neither.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No one ever thought I was going to amount to anything when I was in school. Okay,
Yeah,
I was
fair.
like fully in the dumbest of kids.
The percentile.
Yeah. And there was these couple of girls who used to like fight, like if they got 49 and a half on 50, like they would fight for that half mark. Like super, super strict parents. Like they really had both the girls that I have in mind. The minute school ended, okay, went wild.
Yeah.
Like fully wild. Like pouring drinks back, partying, like, like 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah.
And I would argue that I did amount to something in life.
Yeah.
And I was like the kid that went to college being like, now is my time to start doing my research and giving all my assignments on time and scoring first percentile in Delhi University. Like it went 0 to 100 in both directions. And I don't know, like I feel like my parents, while I was really like afraid of their authority, actually only my mom, I've never been afraid of my dad's authority. There was always a push from their end also of kind of letting go of control as I grew older,
Yeah.
and allowing me to adult,
Yeah.
which I don't think I would be able to give my kid that same amount of leeway. Like knowing how idiotic I was growing up.
No, I feel like I get what you're saying, but I'm like glad I had the space to make those mistakes, even though it was like unhinged. Like, I feel like, at least in Mumbai, after 10th grade, you have 11th and 12th, and those years, anyone who has studied in a Mumbai college just doesn't remember. Because we have gone from like your teacher calling your mom if you like bunk one period to like nothing. You have 8% attendance, you're in this college with like 1,000 people, and just like going wild, going ham, and then like you get to do college fest where you're out all night. And also I just don't remember those 2 years. And I think even though my memory is short and I can't fucking drink Bacardi lemon without vomiting, I'm a better person because that shoot happened, like if compared to like my friends who just ended up going to another school, or like those fucking engineering tuition classes where one like they would get a call, like they didn't get to be like teenagers, they didn't
Yeah.
get to grow, they straight went into jobs, and now also they're like,
Living for the weekend.
yeah, like there's no character development that's happened. They can't hold a conversation.
Speaking
I
of
think.
character development, well, nothing develops character faster than the men you date.
That's true.
What was it like bringing home your
So,
partners.
what do you remember your parents finding out that you were dating a guy? Like, do you remember that day at home? Do you remember what happened?
I remember when they found out I was talking to somebody
Mm-hmm.
because, yeah, I'm from the landline
Right, of
generation.
course.
And there was like one guy who I was like only phone friends with, okay? Did not meet, but we used to chat on the phone a bunch. And, um, and obviously, like, I racked up a huge bill. And then my mom came with this physical bill that was like this long. And she's like, what the fuck are you doing with yourself? And I just couldn't get it. I was like, why don't you understand? Mom, was just a fucking phone call. Like, relax. But now I understand that I should have developed some hobbies. Maybe they would have taken me somewhere in life.
No, I was 12, okay? And I was like dating I use very loosely. We held hands
Hands,
once
yeah.
and it was scandalous in my fucking school. But I used to like we had 20 SMSs a day.
Yeah.
So I would like text him 20 times a day. That was the extent of our relationship. And my mom like saw the messages once and she was like, who's this guy? And I was like, oh, he's just my best friend. And then my dad was like, this is why I shouldn't have put you in a co-ed school. Look at me, I'm from a boys' school, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, why is this a big deal? Like, what's going on? And I just like was like, sure, whatever. And then I continued dating this dumbass dude. And we broke up in 2 months without any reason for my parents to kind of get involved. Like it was just not working out. But he ended up like stalking me a little, like just harassing me. He was from school only. So he was just like, oh, if you like, that like I'll drink phenyl types, okay? And then I had to like go to my dad and be like, I was dating this guy and
Who
now
now
he's
wants to take phenyl?
yeah, so can you please deal with it?
Yeah.
And then my dad had to call this dude's dad and be like, listen, deal with your dumbass son. And then he cut the call and he was like, don't ever fucking date any loser like that ever again. And after that, I've only dated losers. So I did not take the feedback, but no one else drank phenyl. So there's that.
So that's a win.
That's a win. A win's a win.
I miss that conversation with my parents. Like, I feel like if there was some conversation around the quality or the kind of men or like what you should do in a relationship, what relationships are about, like that kind of conversation, which is, I can understand a very first world issue
Yeah.
that I'm having. It would have just saved me a lot of like
Same.
trouble.
I did have the sex talk with my parents actually. I know that's not a common thing in India to have the sex talk, but my mom just was like, hey, you can get pregnant. So, like, you can get an STD and, like, only do it if you're, like, really sure about it. Ideally, wait for marriage. Like, she did, like, kind of talk to me about it. And I was like, ew, mom, like, leave. I don't want to have this conversation. I know what I have to know. Cut to me taking 7 eye pills a year.
Dude, I wanted my parents to be friends with my partner's or boyfriend's parents. So, like, I'm like this very, like, we should all chill
Hum
together.
saath
Yeah.
hai.
And now in retrospect, I'm like, yuck. Like, and my parents were so patient with me, because they would be like, okay, yeah,
We'll
sure,
meet.
we'll meet for coffee or something. And I'm
Oh.
like, ew, why would I force my parents to hang out with some people that they would never like hang out with in their lives?
Yeah, I don't do that. I first of all, there's so many lies involved in my meeting people that I'm like they cannot meet. Like the guy I'm dating and my parents, just they need to exist in different universes.
Yeah.
It's not a it's not a vibe for me. But my dad also like tries to one up the guys I'm dating sometimes. Like he tries to do like a मैं बड़ा हूँ type of game. And recently, like we were at a party and my boyfriend was also there, Suvrat. My dad was like, Suvrat, make me a drink. And I was like, oh, it's been accepted. Like that's my dad.
Actually, that is like code for dad acceptance,
Yeah.
right? When you allow your girlfriend's partner to make you a drink.
Yeah, that means you're in, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I was dating this guy who wasn't Sindhi, which, like, to my parents, this would be the ideal thing. Also, just for context, my dad I remember during COVID, we had started drinking together and we were like playing like a time pass truth or dare. And I was like, oh, what was like, what age did you first kiss a girl? And my innocent father has said, lip to lip kiss. So just to be clear, this is the culture gap that's happening. And I was like, Papa, you're such a virgin, stop it, like don't ever talk to me like that. And and like, so he's really coming from a very like, I only saw your mother once and then I got married, right? So for him to kind of be like, his 13-year-old daughter going like, so what do you think of Punjabis?
It's
Like,
like, how many cows does he have and how much land does he have access to? It's just like,
no. Yes. I remember 2 years ago a rishta came okay from my sister, and this dude was not aesthetically pleasing, but his like career graph was really good. And he like was telling my sister, look at him, look at this guy. And my sister was like, ew, don't ever talk to me again. Like I have a boyfriend. But he was like, he's not Sindhi. This guy. On paper, I've seen one photo of his and he's Sindhi. So wouldn't that like outweigh whatever love you have for your boyfriend? And my sister was like, no, get out.
times
And
have
he was like,
changed.
oh no.
I told you my parents were like, they really wanted me to date
A professor.
a professor to chodo. That's a different story. But like, they really wanted me to have like a foreign boyfriend, like a French
Oh.
guy or, you know, some kind of European guy. Because I think they kind of figured out कि our kid is pretty.
इसका नहीं चलेगा इंडिया में
इंडिया में नहीं चलने वाला है इसका.
ये जो
Catch
बड़ा है
her,
इसको
catch somebody asking you to do peri pona, she will like
stop it, walk out.
yeah.
But that's the thing, right? Like sometimes I'm like, I would never, this shit wouldn't fly at me. Like if my dad asked me to get up and like do something, like, you know, like touch someone's feet, for instance, I would be like, don't ever say that shit to me again. But now I could not do it in someone else's house because I know I would give my dad shit for it. If like somebody else told me like you can't wear sleeveless, I would not I would not follow it, not because I'm like, also because I'm an independent woman, but because if my dad told me this, I would yell at him for 3 days and he would never say that to me. So to like listen to someone else's parents' rules, I would be like, ज्यादा हो रहा है, like
Yeah.
इतना respect मैं खुद के dad को नहीं देती हूँ.
But I would say that if you think that you have courage, if you think you have character, I want you to show me where all of this lands. Raise a girl.
Yeah.
Show me how good you are at like parenting. Raise a daughter.
And a 12 to 18-year-old daughter, like they will like
So many people give my parents like advice on how me and my sister should be raised. And I'm like, but
करके दिखाओ.
you have sons. It's a totally
Yeah.
different ball game.
Yeah, you can't relate only.
At all.
And you know, a lot of like boy moms think it's like, oh, we just dress up together.
Yeah, we'll do shopping together.
Like, no. Try to argue with your daughter at 3 a.m. in the morning when she wants to go on a fucking giddy with
Try to swat off like weird, creepy
creepy
guy.
men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try to swat off like uncles texting your kid, dude. Like,
Bro, it's fucking weird. Like, and I feel like your kid is also so fucking young that they don't even understand what's happening. Like
yeah.
your phone friend.
Yeah.
Like now you know why it's fucking. It could be a 60-year-old man, right? Like
Okay, I knew
it
you-
wasn't.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like I mean, I used to like
Sorry.
like. I have spoken to guys older than me, and then my parents were like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like, you know, it's like it's a different. Like, y'all are playing on easy level. Girl parents are playing on some fucking extreme level. So, don't compare. It's like boy parents don't even like, you know, they have like a completely different experience, and I'm like from a 2 girl household, as are you, right? But I feel like I've seen my friends also, and the oldest daughter, like no matter what, always has the most, like however good the parents are, she always has the most like dunya ka boj mere kandho par, you know, she's just like bogged down by
Yeah.
responsibilities.
And the youngest daughter is just like, no fucks given. Text me later,
Like, Papa, don't call me. I'm in my massage.
Yeah, that vibe. But if you are in a boy girl household,
The youngest son is obviously the, like, he's the Raja. Like,
prince,
yeah,
yeah,
there's no you never date a youngest son. Like, they're the worst. Like, it's horrible. You will be fucking cleaning underwear or some shit. I don't even know. Just, it's the fucking worst.
but if you're the oldest son, same,
Same.
no difference.
The oldest son has it better than the oldest daughter,
Yes,
but he still has it much better than the youngest daughter.
the only time you can date the son is if it's two brothers. Or if it's one middle boy in a two sister
Yeah.
setup. It's that specific. And single child boy,
Just
just
stay
cut
away,
your
stay
losses.
away,
Yeah.
Although they will get the biggest inheritance. Just putting it out there.
These are still the same people who will not share that extra slice of pizza with you. So,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
That's
What
true.
inheritance? You're like, that's my curtain. My mom put it there. You can't have it.
My mom. That's true. And
Yeah.
also, like, boy moms,
Yes.
like, they're just, what are they doing? They're like in love with their own sons or something. It's like you're competing with the mother's affection. Like, like, girl moms are so like,
Like, I wouldn't fight with a girl next to me who was trying to date the same guy.
No.
And now I'm in competition with this woman who
Mom.
cannot date. There's no eligibility.
But if she could.
But if she could. Sometimes I would catch myself like playing the part, of the devoted girlfriend. Like, there is not even a ring on my finger. Why
Yeah.
am I doing this charade?
Dude, honestly, relatable. Have you dated a twin ever?
No, and I'm not curious at all. That's kind of scary.
I dated the boy in a boy girl twin thing, and it was the fucking Hunger Games. Like,
Both of you and the sister for the affection of the brother.
yeah, and it was so weird. Like, the sister was just fucking operating on some level that I'm still confused by. I'm terrified of her because why does she want her brother so bad?
For the inheritance.
For the inheritance. It is time to get into a little game. If you're at home, please play along. It is Put a Finger Down, Indian Parent Edition. Put a finger down if your parents have ever given you news which they got from a fucking WhatsApp forward. No? Oh my god, that Indian national anthem is the most beautiful, wins most beautiful national anthem award. My dad sends this to me every year, and I'm like, it's just a forward, babe, but he just doesn't get it. Okay. Put a finger down if your parents refuse to let you get like a tattoo or piercing in your teens and you thought they were insane for it.
Apart from one tattoo that I've gotten with my mother, every other tattoo I get in secret. And then we go for one beach holiday and I wear a swimsuit and they're like, what's that?
Same.
And I'm like, oh, nothing. And they're like, you got another one? Another one?
I say it's a temporary tattoo and then it just never goes away. And they're like, sure. Put a finger down if your parents read some absurd news in a newspaper and they were like, you are never allowed to go out alone. When did you start traveling alone by like
Yeah, like
rickshaws
college,
and
like
all? Yeah.
11th grade in your standard.
Yeah. No, so I remember when my friend and me were like, we used to travel by rickshaw together. So her dad gave us both Swiss knives, and he was like, baby, if the rickshawala takes a turn that's not on the way, take the knife out and stab him in the neck repeatedly. Not slash, tab because the blood will gush out faster. And then as soon as he stops the rickshaw, you run out and you call me. I will handle it. And after that, I feel like I go out at 3 a.m. with my pepper spray and my Swiss knife and I'm vibing actually.
My mom just told me one thing. My mom gives these random advice at like different points in my life. She's like, if a man, and this is when I was like 8 or 9 years old, if a man grabs you on the street, you have to say, Bachao! You have to say it loudly. You have to be like, Nai! Nai! Say it in your loudest voice. And I would just die of embarrassment. And the entire time I was like, I don't want to travel alone because should this ever occur, I would be too embarrassed to be like, Bacha!
Imagine if someone from school sees you screaming.
I can't. I would rather get kidnapped.
Okay. Your mom's really funny, by the way.
Put a finger down if you've had the sex talk with your parents.
Have you?
I mean, it happened when I was in my 20s and we were both sitting at the gynecologist's office and I was like, listen, I'm going to go in there and talk about my sex life. So you just decide whether you're on board or not. And she's like, this is what I took a half day of for. She was so traumatized. She like, should I ask your sister? I was like,
Up to you, babe.
Up to you,
Do you
babe.
want to ruin your day or no? You decide.
She was so upset about that half day.
Fair, you know. She's a career woman. She didn't need this half day. Put your finger down if your mom sided with the teacher in school instead of you. I've always had a problem with authority, okay? Like way back in the fourth grade, a teacher called my accent dumb and I cried and my mom was like, it kind of is dumb. She didn't actually say that, but she was like, I don't think your teacher would have said that. And I was like, the teacher did say that. And then a teacher suspended me for smiling. Like, she was just like,
What?
you can't smile during class. And like, I understand these are unbelievable things, but like, my mom should have
Said
come
something.
and fought the teachers, you know. But she was like, I don't think this happened because I was also a big liar. On that.
Yeah, my parents were like ready. On the PTAs, they were just like, tell me which teachers treated you badly. I'll fucking uppercut to the face. How dare you tell me my daughter failed at physics? It's your problem as a teacher. You can't fucking put more attention in her direction.
This physics thing is
I'm telling you, I don't know why everyone thought I was going to be this great physicist. I have not scored above a 3 in my life.
oh my god. Dude, my dad was very like, he'll fight anyone, but he was also like, you know, he was like, oh, I've gotten my daughters into this sophisticated school. So he would like actually call the principal like, sir, ma'am. And I was like, bro, he's your age. Go
Yeah.
grapt out him once.
So maybe this brings up a core memory, okay? My dad is a very deals guy, okay?
Ooh.
He's like, okay, if there's a shop there, it does 75% discount. And I was like, amazing, let's go in that direction. So when I was learning driving, my dad, I was like, I learned once with my dad and he had like got me to tears. So I'm like, I want an instructor. So my dad has found the most random car service because he got a deal, okay? Doesn't even have an L sticker on the car. Okay, some banged up Wagoner shows up. This guy has like control of the
Yeah.
pedals on his side and my dad is sitting in the back. Every day I have cried. Every day I'm stuck. The car is stopped. He's saying, take a left. And the guy's like turning the thing in the other direction. He's like, why aren't you listening to me? And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And there's like traffic at the back and this is Delhi. So everyone like, bang, kya kar rahi hai? It's just like, you know, the whole fucking street is just like,
You're just 18.
I've never driven again. No.
Oh, you don't drive now.
I drove in the pandemic and then that ended really fast because
The
I was
traffic
listening
came
to
back.
Ocean Eyes by Billie Eilish and I was driving and vibing out and then I hit a bike. No one was harmed, but
Oh,
I was
yeah,
so
yeah.
embarrassed that I could never like do it again.
I get into so many fender benders that, like, my dad, if he gets a call, he'll be like, okay, get the insurance detail. Like, and sometimes it'll be like, he's okay with me, like, bumping another car, but he's like, how can you bang the car while parking? Nothing moves. It's just your car. Like, I understand everything, and like, but now he's just like gotten accustomed to it. Like, my driver knows all the watchmen of the area. So if in Warsaw I bang any building ka car, my driver will go and send a little apology hamper. Like, he'd be like, Konsa building? And then my dad and my driver are in cahoots, and they'd be like, Arey, wah, Santosh काम करता है ना, चलो hamper भेजो इसके घर."
Okay, put a finger down if any of your parents have helped you with your homework. / what is that experience?
I don't remember which finger I was on, but
Yeah.
in the 4th grade, my dad taught me area ka formula when I had to learn perimeter ka formula, and I did the sums, and I went to class and I got a 2 on 10 in my paper, and I like told the teacher, my father taught me this, so you will punish him. I don't deserve this. And I made the teacher call my father, and my dad, bichara, is at work, and like I'm like crying on the phone. It's like, you hate me. I got 2 on 10 for the first time. And he was like just apologizing on the phone as I cried. Hot girl shit.
Put a finger down if you have checked yourself into therapy and then you tell your parents and you get the worst reaction ever. The thing is that there is nothing more irritating than a pushover learning how to set boundaries because it's the most inconveniencing thing in your life, right? You're like, isko to, you can dump
Yeah.
anything on her. And now she's like, no, you're not
This
respecting
is my boundary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I checked into therapy the last time, my dad thought that there was a lady doing black magic on me. She's like, I don't know what she's saying to her. Ye ajeeb ho gayi hai. You used to be funnier before.
Chi. Maza nahi aa raha. Go on, do it.
My dad's very much a vibes guy. He's like,
Yeah.
keep the vibe up. I'm like, I can't keep the vibe up. I'm depressed.
Put a finger down if you thought at some point that your parents were made of money and you realize later that, oh,
Oopsie.
yeah. I've done a fair bit of spoiled shit, and now that I make my own money, I'm like, oh, it's a limited amount, you know. You can't go like, let's take an international trip. That's why we keep going to Goa. But like, I was just like, how can he say no to buy me the latest iPhone every year? And now I'm like, he was working for his money. He wasn't just like printing it out at home with a Canon printer.
Like, my parents never spoke to us about money because they didn't want that to be a stress for us. But when we were going through tough times financially, we knew that there was something like amiss in the
Yeah.
house because obviously everyone was being very like
Thrifty,
careful. Yeah. But as a result, I have the weirdest like relationship with money because it holds no value for me and yet I am a kanjoos.
My dad's trauma is pretty easy, okay? When my grandfather died, there were 800 rupees in his bank account. So my dad is always stressed that he'll leave us and we won't know what to do. Like, we'll be like, oh, let's just buy this. So he has always saved a lot. But you know, my dad's like, if he saves something, he thinks that money is gone because he doesn't want to touch it. So he'll get like his salary and be like, we have no money. Like, stop it. Everyone sees existing. And like, he complained to me about, like, he was like, you know, you have not saved 1 crore this year. And I was like, I haven't made 1 crore this year. He was like, yes, that is a problem. And he was not joking. He was like, you just need to make more money. Like, and I was like, but how? And he was like, figure it out. He wanted my sister to get a job that provided grandparental insurance. That's not a thing. Like that just doesn't exist. Like he was like, no, you cannot accept this job. It only provides insurance for parents.
What about the other ones?
Yeah, so his like, and but then now that I know where his trauma comes from, I'm like, okay, I will save 1 crore. I don't know how, when, why, but it will happen. Don't worry, Papa.
In summation of this episode.
In summation of this
Yeah.
episode, your parents are but human.
But humans?
Not but, are but humans. So give them a little leeway. It's all fun to talk. And also, I will say there is a period after which everything is funny. Like when you're in your mid 20s, you can like talk to your parents about like, hey, remember back in the 10th grade when I wanted to go to
Do
Tryst?
drugs behind that one.
Yeah, you should have
lane.
allowed me.
Yeah.
It would have been fun for both of us. So there is a statute of limitations with these things. So maybe maybe see if it's fun for your parents to talk about the trauma you have caused them and vice versa, and give your parents a little bit of a chill time about it. They were also like in their 20s when they had you, most likely, and just figuring it out as we are. I'm trying to figure out right now, currently, how to end this podcast, and I think I'm doing a bad job at it. So, bye.